It's the toughest school in the world. Not only is the score line ridiculously high, even the admission rate is less than 1/100,000. It's the Indian Institute of Technology on the banks of the Ganges. Even in India, there's a famous saying, only those who fail to get into the Indian Institute of Technology will consider MIT, and it's such a strict and conceited school. But one teacher has shattered the myth. He sent all 30 students in his class. to the Indian Institute of Technology. This teacher is India's genius mathematician, Anand Kumar. Anand was born into an ordinary family in a slum. He dropped out of high school to help his family's bakery business. But he had a natural love of learning, especially maths. So every week he took time off and traveled to the city center by train, into the university library to study on his own. It was the only way for him to acquire new knowledge. One day Anand stumbled upon a competition. He won a gold medal for his talent. The local education minister was amazed. The minister not only awarded him the prize himself, he praised him for his brilliant mind. He even made a promise. Whenever Anand needs something, whatever he needs, the minister would help him generously. The minister's words gave Anand great motivation. He had always dreamt of going to college, and now he felt he had the courage to go for it. He went to the university library to study again, but this time, he met the librarian who was on patrol. The librarian saw Anand dressed shabbily. He didn't look like a student of the university, so he grabbed the magazine and threw Anand out. The kind staff realized that Anand liked these foreign maths magazines, so they told him if he can publish an article in a prestigious magazine, he would receive free journals for the rest of his life. Anand was very enthusiastic about it. He came home and chose a mathematical problem with no international conclusions. After a brief thought, he had an idea, and then a dense sequence of calculations were spread all over the old blackboard. The answer to this maths problem. He actually solved it. Anand went to his father and asked him to send his article to England. After a long wait, a reply came from the British magazine. Because of Anand's unique solution, Anand's article was not only published in the magazine, even the professors at Cambridge University recognized his talent and sent him an invitation to enter the university. At this point Anand felt that his dream was close at hand. He took the magazine to the library and showed the librarian his name in the journal. Looking at the incredulous look on the librarian's face, Anand raised his eyebrows. He felt proud like never before. His family is also working hard to prepare Anand to study abroad. Everything was ready, except the traveling expenses. Anand thought of the minister's promise. He went with his father, in the hope of getting financial support. But the minister said,
पैसा ना 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 पैसे के चक्कर में मत पड़ना तुम.
The minister not only failed to honor his promise, instead of honoring his promise, he accused Anand of trying to get something for nothing. Anand tried to defend himself, but the minister ordered the security guards to throw the father and son out. Suddenly their only hope was gone. The father was upset. He didn't want to see his son's talent buried. He went around collecting money, pawns and loans, but what he raised was a drop in the bucket. The father thought of his son's genius was being held back by his poor family. He was in a state of anxiety. On an ordinary night, he collapsed without warning. Now Anand's dream of studying abroad will always be a dream. In order to ease the burden of his family, he gave up his passion for maths and started selling biscuits. At this time, he didn't realize that a man of destiny would soon appear to save his grey and dreary life. The man used the Cambridge acceptance letter as a wrapper for crisps and sold it for 5 rupees. It's not that he can't read, it's life that's made him give up his dream. Anand stood in the doorway. Through the doorway, he watched a woman burn his dreams and his honor to the ground. Even though his heart ached, there was nothing he could do. In a trance, he collided with a car and fell to the ground. A well-dressed boss. He got out of the car and shouted at him. Anand was just busy picking up the change on the ground. Then the boss suddenly recognized him. He was there when Anand won an award. He asked Anand, "Why is a genius selling crisps on the street?" Anand didn't answer. The boss patted him on the shoulder. He asked him to come with him.
अरे बनवा के सही सलामत लेके आएगा.
Turns out the boss is the CEO of a local training institute. He saw a business opportunity for the rich who are willing to spend a lot of money. He saw a business opportunity for rich people to spend a lot of money on tuition for their children. He invited Anand to join the team. The high salary of the training center would help Anand improve his family's life, and Anand's reputation as a genius will bring in more students to the program. It was a win-win situation. Anand agreed. Back in the classroom, he was able to work with maths. His unique approach to solving problems. Every student who attended the course improved their grades dramatically. Anand became the hottest name in the training center. Anand became the most sought-after name in the institute. More and more students came to him, and his income went through the roof. Not only did he get himself a new car and hired a nanny for his hardworking mother, and the boss, of course, had a lot to gain. He got in touch with the Minister of Education. He owns the largest training center in the area.
शिक्षा स्वर्ग का रास्ता है और आज के डेट में एजुकेशन से बढ़िया बिजनेस कुछ नहीं है.
The good life. Anand almost forgot. Anand had almost forgotten about his poor self. But a chance encounter made him reconfirm of his innermost desires. That day Anand saw a boy solving maths problems under the streetlight. He was curious and approached him. He found the boy's idea of solving the problem to be very innovative, but because of his limited knowledge, he couldn't use the formula, so he couldn't come up with the right answer. So Anand sat down and gave him a few pointers. The boy's mind was blown. Just when he was about to solve it, his father told him to go back and wash the dishes. To go back and wash the dishes. The boy could only put down his books and go to work. Anand looked at the boy's back. Anand looked at the boy's back and felt sorry for him. He took the boy's father's tricycle. He asked the boy if he loved his studies. Why don't you let him continue his studies? The boy's father replied that studies are not for food. A child from a poor family, no matter how hard they try, they won't make a name for themselves.
आगे भी राजा का बेटा ही राजा बनेगा.
These words stung Anand. He remembered when because he couldn't afford the traveling expenses, he missed the invitation to Cambridge. Such regrets. In the slums, it's a common occurrence. Countless children drop out of school because they're poor, while rich kids, no matter what their qualifications are, can easily get into the best schools. Education has never been fair. Nanda didn't sleep a wink. He made a big decision to create a free tuition class so that poor children could continue their education. The news of the star teacher's free classes attracted hundreds of children in no time, but Anand had limited energy and had to choose the best of the best. In the end, 30 children became his first free students. These children came from different backgrounds, but all of them wanted knowledge can change their lives. In order to concentrate on teaching, Anand quit his job at the training center. But just as the students were improving, he was approached by the head of the program. Since Anand's departure, the business of the course has been deteriorating. Now the boss wants to persuade Anand to come back. Anand refused. He insists on bringing out the children in front of him. There was an argument between the two. The boss gave him a stern message. A man riding alone late at night. He was just picking up a lunchbox. He was shot at by two passers-by, just because the man is a maths teacher. It turns out that these two men were assassins sent by the head of the course. The bullet hit him in the stomach. The assassin wanted to shoot Anand when he realized he was still alive, but the bullet jammed. The train's roar started at that moment. They dragged Anand to the railway track. In the nick of time, Anand's brother suddenly appeared and saved him. It all started with Anand. He gave free tuition to poor students. This affected the money of the rich and powerful in the education sector. That's why they wanted him dead. A few days ago, the boss had signed a bet with him to let those 30 poor students to take the same exam as other rich students. The same exam. If the poor students did better, the boss would sponsor them. Know that Anand needs to shut down the tuition classes for the sake of the students to have enough to eat. Anand accepted the bet. He had faith in his students, but he didn't realize, when the students entered the bright and spacious classroom, they looked at their clean and neatly dressed classmates. A sudden feeling of inferiority washed over them. They finally realized, it's not talent that's been holding them back. It's class. Anand, who was about to shut down his tuition classes, with the help of his friends, he broke the betting agreement. He got away with it, but the other guy wasn't going to stop there. Now the entrance exams for IITs are around the corner. Anand is lying in the hospital. looking at his students in front of him. He doesn't want this to affect their results. And then, one of his former students brought a piece of bad news.
आज रात बहुत बड़ी संख्या में गुंडे लोग आ रहे हैं सर, उनके पास गोली बंदूक है.
Luckily, just in case, Anand has taught his students in advance how to use their knowledge. Today, it's time for a practical exercise. A large number of assassins arrived next. The students are united, using all the maths and physics. All the maths and physics they'd learnt in class, like using magnetism to drive wheels, and using sound reflection to distract the enemy, and making slingshots with the tools at hand, and launching incendiary bottles. And that's how they fought off their enemies. Soon after, the day of the exams arrived. The students entered the examination hall with great ambition. It was their only chance to change their lives. The sky is the limit. On the day of the results, 30 underprivileged students taught by Anand. All of them got into the Indian Institute of Technology. The story ends with Anand crying tears of joy. The story ends with Anand's tears of joy. The film reflects India's rigid caste hierarchy. And the extreme imbalance of educational resources. The film is a poignant reminder. The benefits of social development shouldn't be enjoyed only by a few at the top, when people at the bottom of the ladder have the ability to change their destiny by themselves. This land will flourish.